Hello, hello. It's Wednesday again. I'm Carla Vasquez. It's Carla V Thinks Out Loud, episode 16. Today I have our first double dose guesting, man. We've only ever had one guest. So we've got Austin Farrar and Justin Shipler.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Glad to be here, yeah.
It's all
This would be
kind of
super
last
fun.
minute. I saw you guys Monday.
Yeah?
The show, and I was like, Cody Dove can't do it this week. Are you guys down?
Yeah, and it
I
took
really
both of
appreciate it. us
to like
Fill one
fill
person's
fill
spot.
in.
Yeah.
And we're still not there.
We get one more to make this whole. I'm just kidding. Oh, that's funny. But you guys are kind of a duo anyway, in a sense, and you guys are used to almost speaking as one.
We work together on a couple of podcasts. We co-DM, or GM, I guess is the appropriate term nowadays.
Sure.
What is it really, GM?
Yeah, we game,
Game
master,
master
because
or
we don't just
dungeon
host
master.
sci-fi games. We're not just dungeon masters.
Yeah, so they are. I know them as my dungeon masters because
Yeah.
I have played. We did once.
It was a lot of
so
fun.
far.
A lot. We're doing a one-shot kind of scary theme for Halloween season.
We need to finish that one too.
We're getting it's that whole group we were talking about. We're going to be doing like a D&D live show.
Yes. Tell us about that project because that's why
Um,
you reached out to me, right?
yeah. Right.
So it started, we kind of spoke about the project to each other. We'd been co-DMing a Dungeons and Dragons game for a while, like a year and a half. We moved it online during the pandemic, which took some adjustments, but also showed us a whole lot of new technological advancements that have come about in the gaming community.
sure.
Wow.
And Justin's like, what do you think about hosting one that's locally themed? And I'm like, that sounds like a lot of fun. And he's like, what if we fill it with all like local performance artists, stand-up comedians, musicians? And I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Get like local artists to do the artwork,
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
local music for like, each episode.
So tell me how this can be filmed because I think I'm still a little bit like confused.
So-
Not confused, just wondering.
Really similar to the
Ridiculous.
setup you have here. As if you were the game master, you would have a camera on you, and then all the players, Justin and I, would probably have a backup camera showing everybody at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Reaction
then we'd
shots.
have a battle cam to show the map.
Overhead.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Because it's a tabletop role-playing game.
So when you say all the art and all this stuff, where would that?
It's not going to be live. We're not going to be doing that. So
Right.
we're going to film it, edit it, and then release it.
Art,
As,
as
like,
in
a
like
sequence.
characters,
Oh, love
Yeah.
it.
We're gonna get-
NPCs, non-playable characters, people you'll meet along the way,
that's
monsters especially. That's a lot of fun to
Yeah.
get art of.
And
I
the
love
area
it.
too.
Yeah.
We'll have fantasy versions of like downtown Albuquerque or the Bosque
Nice.
as an enchanted forest.
I'm excited for that.
That kind of stuff.
I'm very excited. So we'll be dressed. So then will we be dressing as our characters
Oh,
for?
that's
It's
entirely
totally
up
up
for-
to you.
yeah.
Really?
But we do
Sure.
encourage
I
it.
kind of a little
Yeah.
bit at least want to get a few things to help me get into character. You
Do
know.
you
Absolutely.
tell the fans, your audience, about your character at all? What you're like thinking about playing?
So I'm still not sure. Justin and I have talked about this. I like the character I have, but then there were some parts of it that I thought were very similar to the strengths of some of the other players.
Yes.
And so I was wanting something that was a little bit more diverse to fill in the holes of what we could do during like different campaigns.
Now,
if
what's
that
that
makes
called?
sense.
When you make a party balance?
Party balancing.
All right.
Is that what that's called? Is it a
That'd
real
be
thing?
Yes.
Party balancing.
You stumbled on
I know
a
my
real
shit.
concept.
And-
And that's kind of out the window in the version we're going to be playing.
Sort
Okay.
of. Sort
It
of.
helps, obviously.
The thing
What?
I typically don't care about party balance except for one aspect, and that's the way you're describing it, and that's because you feel too similar to everybody else. You want to
Yeah.
feel unique, right?
Yeah, I don't want to be.
Because when
I
a
wanna feel
situation
unique, I want
arises,
to feel
we want
helpful.
to build it towards you.
Right.
And
Right.
if everybody's playing like a wizard, it's like we go to the wizard college or something. Everybody's going to have something to do. It's kind of going to be overwhelming.
Right.
Right.
It's gonna be like arcs. Like we're gonna have like this episode we're focusing on these two characters' backstories, and then the next
Oh,
one will
sweet.
be like a fight. There'll be combat. There'll be puzzles.
Okay.
I have delved into Dungeons and Dragons hardcore since the pandemic hit because I lost my job whenever it happened.
What were you doing before?
I worked as at a bullet detection software company.
It's so cyberpunk.
Bullet detections.
Yeah.
They put in
company.
like fire alarms, but
They
they
looked
heard
like
things.
they looked like fire alarms, but it would hear things like you said, and it could differentiate between like random noise and gunshots.
Oh, sick.
And then it could be
Whoa.
like tied to other security systems. So if a gunshot goes off, it locks down the area, or the cameras turn on, or it calls the police.
He told
or-
me about this job so humbly. He's like, it's a software job.
I know
it's
the way you say,
acoustic."
like, I don't know, just some nerdy
like-
stuff. I'm like, you're saving lives, bro.
I was kind of like not really the graphic designer, but I would do the layouts.
Okay.
So like I would get the blueprints of the buildings that they're being installed in, and then
Interesting.
determine using their parameters
Yeah.
where the best place to place each one to go. And then
That
the
sounds
inst-
like an indie game. Like each one has a
Yeah.
certain radius, and you got to build.
it
the
was
best
a little
one.
bit
Yeah.
like playing a video game.
It does sound like an early video game too, of like Minesweeper, whatever they were called.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
But
Mine installer.
yeah, they closed down a little bit. They're back now. I wasn't one of the people brought back, but they're back now. But they did close down. So I'd lost my job whenever the whole COVID restrictions were happening, and
Some Dungeons and Dragons.
all that. And I saw an ad online for professional dungeon master, and applied,
What?
and had to do like I had to do 2 different test games.
The first one sounded so hardcore.
And
you
then-
brought that up because I had to take over our normal Dungeons and Dragons duties when you were doing the test
Yeah.
one. And what was it?
It was I felt like I got like shoved in the deep waters because it was for 9 players.
First
Which
of all,
is a
wow,
lot.
for one
What?
person to handle.
For one, 9.
It's a
for
lot of
one.
players, and it was max level,
So level 20,
So it was level
everybody
20.
had all the abilities.
and they
spells.
wanted they wanted it to be like nautical themed.
Wait, so everybody's underwater?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so they did a kraken hunt.
Oh, that's actually kind of sweet, but that
Um,
seems very like a really hard monster to kill.
It was, yeah, and there was a pirate ship with demons controlling it that had like meteor cannons.
What?
When at 20th level D&D, you really gotta like go
Yeah, go
crazy because the players can literally like cast a spell called Wish, where they can ask for whatever they want and it'll probably happen.
What? At level
But-
20?
Yeah, but
That's
that's
high?
like
That's the top.
that's
yeah.
the very high level.
And so you were mastering your dungeon, your
It-
demon. I mean, for 9 at that level.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it was a lot.
That's
It was a
wild.
lot.
So you had 2 test games. So you had that one and
That was
another
your
one.
audition,
That was
I'd
your
say.
audition for yeah.
That was
I interviewed
kind
you.
of yeah. That one was less of an audition because that was like with actual customers, but it was still
Yeah.
kind of like a tryout. The first audition I did was just with other people who worked at the company, and then once I passed that, they let me do the other one. And now I've been working with them for over a year. We just finished writing our first book that we kickstarted. It's like a D&D supplement called Griot's Guide to the Wildlands. That is,
It's really innovative. It's like instead of getting in combat encounters,
Mm-hmm.
you get in encounters with nature.
yeah, it's
Oh,
building on
dude, I
nature
love that.
encounters
It's
because
like, oh shit, avalanche.
it is
That's right.
it is
and
in
then
the
a whole
book.
bunch of rules.
It is
That
it
is
is in the
cool.
book. Like they do have some rules, but it's like 2 pages.
Yeah.
like,
okay.
You know,
So you
here's
guys
an
are
avalanche, here's a quicksand, here's that kind of stuff. So we just like there needs to be more. So we went on Kickstarter and we got like 600% funded for
Wait,
our first
really?
project, which is freaking awesome.
What? That's so amazing. Great job. Wow.
Yeah, and
Great idea.
we're just now finishing. I was one of the lead writers, along with like 6 other people, and now it's in like the production phase. It's gonna ship out
Dude.
at the end of November.
And both of you guys are working on this?
No,
Or
that's his
That's
thing.
just me.
That's a lot of work, man.
That's what
So
I was
how
doing
much-
up until now.
And that took how long to do? Just the
Um,
writing of it and like the structuring of
It was like full-time work for like
Yeah.
3 months.
That's it?
Basically.
Because you were doing research too, though.
I was doing a
Before
lot of
that.
Because
research.
he'd be messaging me and he'd be like, It's really depressing looking up what happens during a mudslide.
Like
and
trying
watching
to
all these videos online.
It's like I just saw a video of someone die for real.
Yeah.
I just saw a video of someone just get swallowed up by the earth for
And
real.
you're like, I can't look up dragon attack and have that emotional attack.
gosh.
But like nature, it
Tsunamis.
yeah.
wrecks you.
Reading the horror
Hurricanes.
stories about like what happens to people whenever they go into hot springs, not realizing how hot they
Oh,
are.
God.
Or sometimes
no.
they're just
Do they
made of
melt?
acid. Like,
Oh yeah,
oh.
it's like flash boiling yourself, and your skin
Ow.
just like oozes off. It's a painful, slow death.
Should everybody like take a thermometer to hot springs?
Only go in hot springs if you know they're safe.
Take your turkey thermometer
Yeah.
to the hot springs, guys. You
Yeah.
have one. If you celebrate Thanksgiving,
If it
take
explodes, don't get inside.
that. Yeah, if not explodes. Yeah, if you're a barista, take your like milk thermometer over there. Do it. Yeah. You can let it cool down. Oh man. Jesse, real quick, not to whatever. Could you scoot up like 2 inches? I think
Yeah.
just the backdrop is hitting your chair when you're
Sure.
laying. Sorry. Sorry. Is it fine? It's just making sure it wasn't
Sorry.
like messing with the like. Never mind. Scoot way back.
Oh, I'm
Actually,
good.
can you go behind?
Yeah, I'll get
Like-
behind.
Okay, so fun fact. Early
Alright.
D&D days, the dungeon master would play from behind a curtain
That's
for full
right.
immersion.
That's
The
right.
party would sit around the table, and then he would do silly voices and shit. Can we curse on this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say whatever, you can say whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so he'd be like acting like a goblin tribe or something back there.
And you can't see him.
Mm-hmm.
You just
You can't
like
see any
hear
of his
him.
roles or his reaction to them. That died off pretty quickly, but I kind of enjoy the theatrics of it.
What?
For sure.
So when did that die off? When like because
Very
you couldn't see them?
quickly.
What,
Yeah.
76?
Yeah, that was like-
77 was like
Well, I feel like I would
early
want to
days.
see the role, or I would want to be.
You'd want to
You know,
see.
We still use the DM
Yeah.
screen though. If you
Yeah, I
notice.
like that. They
Yeah.
do still have a thing, and they have things behind it.
Now
And
it
they have
has,
all
like,
these
really
rad
nice art
props.
on it.
has all of our secrets.
There was like some chests that they brought out, and it was all like, oh, I won't give away things, but it was part of the game, and they brought out and it's like teeth inside. I was like, what? They have all these
Oh,
rad things.
Yeah.
You guys are, side note, very good at double dungeon mastering.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And I really felt we played for almost 6 hours or something.
You get lost in
You
it.
get lost.
It felt like 2 hours, and I was so like stoked. I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah,
good.
you can definitely get lost in it. That's for
Oh,
sure. Which is
yeah.
one of my favorite things about it.
Combat can drag on, even as a dungeon master or game master. If the whole night is combat, you got to find ways to make it interesting. But storytelling and like,
I like that.
being characters and stuff, if it's a role play night mixed with a little bit of combat, we'll play for 6-7 hours, and it's like, oh, I gotta get home. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last time they're like, "Are you gonna make it to the mic?" I don't even know what day it was. I was like, "Yep, not coming." Like, too deep in this.
Too deep.
Give me a bear, Shipler. We're doing it. No, but it's fun. So okay, so they used to play in the different room. Larry is bringing up too. Is it true that some dungeon masters have gotten like way too wild that they like start having characters make sex and things?
That's
Yeah.
definitely a thing.
She's all make sex.
Make sex.
I'm 35.
You can definitely roll and see if you can
I'm
make
not a
sex
virgin.
right now.
Yeah. That's.
I was gonna say I found this in the like bosque, like the day like you messaged me again, went for a walk. I was
It's
like,
a
oh yes,
sign.
oh my god. When I was in the hospital, he had messaged me about my character, just like saw it, but I was like whatever. And then next week I like was like in the bosque with BB-8, the dog, and I was thinking about it, and then he messaged me, and literally I take 5 steps, see this blue thing sitting at the base of a tree in the bosque, and it's this. I thought it was like a stress ball, but it's pretty hard. It's like a
That's-
foam die.
That's what we would call a plot hook.
An omen, yeah.
Yeah, it was this. There's all these interesting synchronicities that I think can happen if people notice. Where are we? Three.
Right in the middle.
I dig it.
I like it, and it's right in the middle. We'll leave it there.
So-
We'll roll more later.
The reason there's a lot of sex talk involved in D&D and
There-
making sex, I mean role-playing in general evolved online with D&D together, and there's
Yeah.
like a lot of crossover, a lot of erotic role-playing,
I did not know that.
but
yeah.
also,
Definitely.
oh,
There's like there's like an ongoing joke even in current D&D that one of the classes is always like the horny class that wants
can
to
you guess
fuck
which
everyone.
one?
The dwarves.
Elves?
It's bards.
The bards?
The bards.
Oh, interesting. Is that
Which
why
is
Royal
what,
wanted
that's
to
what
be?
Royal's playing.
Royal's in this game. Royal Wood Jr., the third. I
Shout
don't
out,
know.
yeah.
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 So also a really popular episode of Community. There's an entire scene where Abed and Annie are going back and forth and describing a sex scene, but it's
true.
muted and you can only see their pantomimes.
That's true.
And
It's
that
like
sort of influenced the zeitgeist
and then they're like doing
around
the
it.
whatever, and then it's like one of those like 360 cameras almost,
Yeah,
isn't it?
beautiful,
They have-
beautiful episode.
That show, sorry,
But
I'm
I don't-
intentionally show's so good.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
They have 2
a
episodes,
great-
2 or 3 Dungeons and Dragons episodes.
Just 2, I think.
Because it's a recurring thing. Like during 2 seasons, like
Yeah.
they bring back
There's like a
Dungeon Master.
villain plot.
Oh, so good.
I don't know
The
if
sex
I don't know if it's
between-
been
yeah.
ripped from Netflix or not, because it did have blackface from Chang being a drow elf. He went full painted face, and I know
right.
a lot of
He
episodes
did.
got ripped
That's right. I
recently.
wonder.
If they
I
just
haven't gone
censored that
back
part
and-
either.
They might have just taken it out.
Wouldn't
It would've
diminish
been-
the episode to
Nah.
take Chang out. It would kind of be funny. It's just like he's not in this one.
Yeah.
He was kind of a
It'd be
ghost in
canon.
that show, anyways. Sometimes.
Exactly.
Great
You
show.
guys are lucky. Okay. When I was growing up and playing role-playing games, like I told you, I only played D&D like maybe a handful of times. I got more into Star Frontiers.
We're gonna need you to explain that
If
to
anybody
us.
knows what Star Frontiers is, let us
I'm
know.
so interested. Yeah.
Well,
But
he knows.
It's the
but-
same thing as D&D. I mean, it's all dice and shit.
Is it
Right.
kind of
Big
Star Wars
characters.
based?
It's kind of Star Trek-y based.
Ooh, even better.
Even
Better,
better.
Yeah.
But anyway, you guys, I mean, there's more female players than there ever was back when I was fucking playing.
That's
I
Chicks
believe
look
there
at
was
you
a
like
lot of
you were-
gatekeeping or
Oh,
just like
dude.
hesitation to enter that
Chicks,
Do you
world.
think
chicks were
so?
not
For the-
down with it at all.
Do you think it went both ways though, where it was like, this is our?
Oh, it was a boys' club thing.
It was a
It was
boys' club,
definitely
yeah.
a boys'
Okay,
club.
thank you for saying that. I was not gonna try to say it in a diplomatic
Yeah.
way, but yeah.
But
it
it's
was boys' club.
becoming more and more, just like gaming is. They're saying that about 60% of the gamers out there are girls.
Oh, yeah.
And you wouldn't know that they
Wow.
were because they're trying to hide their identity.
Yes, that's
'cause,
true.
It's that whole movement that
daughter's a
happened where
gamer,
nerd
too.
is cool now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, I
it
was
really
getting
is.
beat up for it.
It was. I got beat up for it whenever I was younger too.
Oh,
I've been
I grew
playing
up
since.
really lucky where we would actually play D&D with the football team.
Oh.
Like, it was accepted in the culture.
I had some friends, yeah, a few that were cool. It was started the mix around our ages, I think, is like
Yeah.
started mix all
It was
all
still
the
the
culture,
physics
you know.
teacher that was our DM.
Oh,
So super
funny.
nerdy in that aspect.
I learned because I was babysitting somebody. I was 14. I started babysitting at like 12. I was like 13 or 14. I
Yeah.
started babysitting Daniel Gallagher, who was like my mom's friend's kid. Him and his sister. And he would like do recitals at trumpet for me, and she would like dance with me and whatever. And then one day, I would do weekly, whatever. I was their babysitter. And one day he's like, "Do you know Dungeons and Dragons?" He's like, "Can I teach you how to play?" And then we'd make his sister play too, but it would just be like the 3 of us. And he was a dungeon master, but also he had like a character usually. He was like 10 or so, 9, I don't know. But then in high school, we were like together in high school at a weird time. So I played with him again when I was older.
Nice.
Rest in peace, Daniel Gallagher, not to make it sad. But when you guys told me like, let's play, I was like, oh yeah. I remember
Nice.
those days. It's been a long time. And I think the last one I played was maybe the second generation or the second, third, if that. It's been
Did
18
you ever
years
play
probably.
any of the PC games or anything?
No,
Okay.
I haven't. But I have a friend, Josh Nick, who I need to get back in contact with, and I suck. But he plays every week, like every Saturday, plays online and has his headset and
Yeah.
does his thing, and he'll play for like 6,
Yeah,
7 hours.
My daughter's big into Minecraft and Roblox and all that shit. Back when I was growing up, there would be no fucking girl playing those games, dude. It'd be like they had no
Right.
interest.
One of the first ones I think that girls were sort of starting to be more a part of when my generation was it World of Warcraft or whatever?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a big
Yeah,
one. That
WoW.
became
I had a
popular.
lot of friends, like female friends, that started getting into WoW, and that was like, because they would
That's
make
a-
fun of me
that's a
about the
PC
dozen.
game.
Yeah, and that was one, and I don't know if that's still around.
knew a
but
lot
I like the
of
role playing more.
Women that played Everquest.
Sure.
I don't know that one.
Second Life.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, second one.
EverQuest was the precursor to WoW. It was like
Mm-hmm.
high fantasy, not as cartoonish.
Gotcha.
And then there was EverQuest 2. And that was the first one I got online. The MMO I played online. I played for like 2 weeks and then my subscription ran out and I was like, I don't have the connection speed at this time to do this or the time.
I got real deep into WoW for a little while, but
You did. What's
it
your
started
intro to
feeling
Dungeons
like-
and Dragons?
Me? I've been
Yeah.
playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was like 14 years old.
Yeah.
And I got into it because I was really into Magic the Gathering.
We were
And
just
it's
talking
the
about
same
That'll do
company. I love
Is
the
it?
art. Like,
Dude, when
Oh, I
was-
didn't know
when
that.
I was growing up, dude, we found out about it at a comic book store.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Like,
bet-
we'd go to the comic book store and be like, what the fuck is this game?
with the
How I
sick
found about a lot of
artwork on
music.
it, with
Yeah.
swords and
The artwork.
dragons.
Like, we gotta play this game.
It's
The
always the
artwork is
artwork.
what-
That's what got me into Magic the Gathering
Yeah.
too. I was like, these cards are amazing. Then I was like, they have rules too. I'm gonna learn how to play this.
Yeah. Dude.
And it's basically just improv. But
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
It's good for especially for kids. There's a lot of development there as far as, you know.
For
'cause
sure.
A lot of kids don't use their imagination. And
Yes.
Step outside the
Oh
roles
my
they're
gosh.
given, or like
I was just thinking
subscribe
about
to.
that. Like now, like so many things just being accessible, like right in your face. Like I can just find out this now. Why do I need to actually learn this? Why do I, like just different things. As a kid, we'd ask my dad, "What's this word mean?" He's like, "Encyclopedias. Go look it up." And like we would have to read it out
Me too.
loud.
And now that there's computer, you can just.
I feel like it's taking away, that part of their like imagination, that part of critical thinking, of like putting things together.
I tell
know.
my daughter that all the time. I was like, why
Fuck
are you
snap.
asking me to help with your homework? You've got a fucking computer, you've got a phone, you've got.
I'm an optimist. I believe we're just in a transitionary period. It's too
I
new
hope
for a lot of
so.
people to like totally grasp how powerful it is. Because we've been talking about it in sci-fi forever, having these like magical devices like Don't Panic, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's
Oh, that's
basically
right.
an iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Star Trek had
right.
the tablets and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going, is once we learn kind of how to get kids off of it and like, don't let them watch YouTube. That shit's creepy. Like kids' YouTube goes to
It's
dark places.
It does.
Yeah, they just did those studies too about how it's just like all these Facebook, or the whistleblower of Facebook was like, yeah, it's fucking up kids' lives. Like,
Yeah, they're like the more controversy, the better. But
it's-
once we learn how to harness it and like use it
I
like we
hope
did
so.
encyclopedias, because we had encyclopedias for like, what, 700 years?
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
A through Z plus the
But
extra
then
two.
then you go and you look in the encyclopedia and you just get stuck looking up dirty words and like boobies and shit. Like,
I always would look up dogs. I don't know.
oh,
Right.
wow,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's
I
the
don't
same
know.
thing as the internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just watch.
It literally is. It's the same as the internet.
I look up. Hey, oh my gosh, that's so funny because everybody does like cats. And,
Yeah,
like,
or dogs.
or
Cute
sex
animals.
things. Or,
Yeah,
Yep.
it never changes. It's just the medium changes.
It really did. My mind's like a little bit like happier and sadder at the same time realizing this. I'm like, that's cool, we're not fucked, but I'm like, wait, we're just in this ever like cycling
Yeah.
same shit all the time in different ways.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Crazy you got a job out of it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, so
It
for
is.
a year now. And
Cheers. That is amazing.
then
Yeah.
and then through that, like
It's pretty crazy.
so with this job, what do you do for it? Is it weekly? How often are you running like campaigns
Currently,
with it?
up until recently, I was doing 3 games a week. Wow. 3.5 to 4 hours long each game. One of my games, that first one I ever started running, getting paid for, it ran for a year and a half, basically, and we ended it last week.
Wow.
The whole
Congrats.
A whole
Damn.
campaign, yeah, from level 1. They got level 1, starting off, first mission, finding a town's lost barrel of mead shipment. Ended level 13, defeating a god. That's D&D.
Nice. Dig it.
So that gives you an idea of how powerful level 20 is.
Not me, but
A party of level 13s can defeat a god.
Yeah.
we had.
That's commendable
Yeah.
to get through a campaign. That's
Yeah.
rare also.
It is pretty
Even
rare.
as DMs, we're constantly switching games. We're like, do you want to cancel this one so we can pick up this other one we're
Oh right,
interested
you
in?
get just you get
And-
not bored, but like say something else. And you're like,
There is
Or
a-
players get bored and drop out.
Yeah. Then there is
gonna
resistance
ask, yeah.
to being like paid DMing really had a huge resurgence, like a huge surgence in during the pandemic. Like
Mm-hmm.
more and more people are like, "Oh, like this is a thing." There's a website you can go to, startplayinggames.com. That's where
Start playing.
I host, like that's where I advertise all of the games that I'm running and
okay.
find players. Is people go on there, they can read the description, sign
Mm-hmm.
up, they can leave reviews, all that kind of stuff. It does get some pushback. There are a lot of people who get very upset at the idea of being charged to play, like, oh, you're playing with us. Why am I giving you money to play with us?
Oh.
It has that nice guy
Interesting.
mentality, though, of the same guys that are against sex work, where they're like, why should I pay for it when I can get it for free?
Do you want to?
Sure.
That's so funny. So, did the
Yeah,
same
but
people
I don't
stay
think
in
people
this?
understand. Like it takes a sense of storytelling to get people enthralled.
And
Yeah.
a lot of work behind the scenes. You said
Yeah.
you were running 3
Yes.
to 4 hour games. I'm like, how much homework are you doing the world building
It
behind
takes-
that?
So-
It takes the,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like what you have the world building, then you have obviously, you know, all the things, but even in the moment, which is so amazing, and between the two of you guys, you work so seamlessly together of like knowing who's gonna answer which questions or how you're gonna tell the story almost, which was great, and you paint a really great world, but
you.
you also
Thanks.
have to react to everybody's move. You also
Yeah.
have to react to anybody can almost say anything.
That's
'Cause
where
it
the
really is.
improv
If nobody's
comes into
played
it.
like
to make
that,
it look-
it's kind of like it's a role playing. It's you're making up your own characters.
Yeah,
you have
you
a
gotta
little
make
bit
it
of
look
free
like
will
you've
to say what you
pre-planned
want as
everything.
your
You
character.
have to make it look like you've pre-planned everything, but really you're basically
fly- see, that's the
you
thing, you
you
just fly
have
by the seat of your
you
pants.
have like
You want to look behind the scenes?
there's things
You
that
want a
you want to
secret?
do.
Oh,
Yes.
a little DM secret. So say you go into a village, and there's like 7 big buildings, barns owned by families, a couple of silos,
Okay.
and smaller houses. You enter the village. Your party's like, "Oh, what do we do? Let's go into one of these buildings."
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna have 36 buildings mapped out. We're gonna have 7
Oh,
buildings
right.
mapped out, and we're gonna swap them
With-
on the
with-
fly for whatever ones you go in.
Right.
That's
that
one
makes
of the
sense.
tricks.
Interesting.
That's not always the case.
You
'Cause
might
there
have
are-
you actually
have to
might
go
have
with it.
36 small buildings planned out if it's significant to the story, if it's a big
You haven't
dungeon.
pre-planned.
Yeah, like if this is like a hub game and this is like their city where they're gonna spend like all of their time centralized, you might go into that.
You
much
also
detail.
might just make up a chart with 36 options on it.
Okay.
That are simple suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
Roll when they enter a building and go improv off of that.
Mhm.
You enter
And
the
we-
building and it's on fire. You have to escape quickly or you'll take damage.
We've been really good friends for a long time, and we've done a podcast together,
Mm-hmm.
so we've gotten used to kind of riffing off of each other doing that. And not a whole lot of people do double DMing.
I put this
you
suggestion on
mentioned
Reddit
that.
when we thought of the idea.
Well,
and
yeah.
I got downvoted to oblivion.
Really?
People were like, "It's impossible. Just run your own game. You'll
Yeah.
run into quarrels and headbutt constantly in what direction you want to take it." And I'm like, I don't give a fuck what direction we take it. That's up to the
you
players.
Guys, yeah, you guys do leave it.
I
so,
think
like,
there's a lot of ego involved in DMing.
There can
I
be
see
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
I did tell you guys that night, and I hadn't played in so long that I thought that it was normal now to maybe have 2 DMs. It's like, you guys, I've never seen 2 DMs, but I was like, you guys, it's so, like, yeah, it's very fucking rare. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like,
We wanted to try it.
We wanted to try it,
It's-
Especially
because-
after the pushback. We were like, hell, no one else is doing it.
I
And that's
dig
why
it,
we
man.
want to start the show and put it out on YouTube.
the thing that got us to like be like we like why wouldn't we try this is there are times in D&D where the party forces me to talk to myself as 2 different characters
Yeah.
for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Also, math takes up a lot of the time.
Which if there's 2 of us,
Oh,
all of a
the-
sudden I don't have to do 2 different voices where I'm like, oh, I'm over here talking and I'm over here responding. We can just go off of each other.
I'm the barkeep. I'm the barmaid.
So when did you guys meet?
Pretty soon after I moved to Albuquerque, like
And that
2013, you think we met?
Yeah, about I think.
We both
That's been a
moved. We were
minute.
in the same
Nice.
apartment complex. Didn't know it. We met at a party outside of that, and we're like, "Oh, we live at the same place."
Yeah.
So we started hanging out.
Yeah.
Nice. And when did you realize that it was a shared interest of yours?
Pretty early.
Yeah.
Pretty early.
I mean, we got high together a couple of times and watched bad
That'll
movies,
do it.
and
Yeah.
it clicked, and we
Oh,
were just
that's-
like, "Oh, okay, there it is. We're gonna watch real bad TV and get high together."
Yeah.
And it grew from there.
I introduced him to Avatar: The Last Airbender, and
Yup.
then, you
We were
know,
just talking about that.
He was super
Like
resistant
you.
to horror movies about space or
Sure.
aliens because he grew up in Roswell.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
he'd
really?
never seen Alien or Aliens or any
Because
of those.
you were so like.
I was just like, aliens are boring. I don't care.
You grew up in
about
Roswell.
aliens.
It's like, yeah, you get overwhelmed by it.
That's awesome.
They've been shoved up your ass.
Yeah,
Every
you're
year,
like,
a bunch of
"Fuck it, I don't
jackasses
wanna-"
come to the
Yeah.
town and talk about them nonstop.
The
I
McDonald's
know.
is shaped like a spaceship, and all of our streetlights have little alien eyes on them.
Oh, it's so
That's
cool.
so funny. Like with my stepmom, she's like, never get me anything with hot air balloons on it. I'm over it.
We were actually disappointed when we went to Roswell for the
Yeah.
first time. Yeah.
Wait, when did you go for the first time?
Like what?
2019.
Yeah.
Was it during the
It-
UFO
it was
Fest?
It is a
off, It
little-
was the off season. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is, whatever.
It's a
All right.
little
It's
like
not.
a town you could pass through and kind of miss almost.
Yeah.
And you
sure.
would think the alien stuff would be even more, but then everything, like it turns out to be alien. Like one strip has like a few like these have been here forever kind of stories.
Right.
But then like every restaurant's like the alien, the UFO omelet, like.
My high school mascot was a rocket.
A red rocket?
Right?
I do like dogs.
I feel like the only thing to feature aliens and
that's funny.
UFOs for that long and retain, like, interest is Doctor Who. Because you're watching it
Yeah.
and you're like, every single week or whatever. I dropped off a long time ago, but for a
gonna
while I
ask
was
if you
really
still watch-
into it.
What season did you get to?
I got to the whole, through the whole resurgence, from the Chris Eccleston to the
That's
Matt
a lot.
Smith.
I did
and
Matt-
a little
yeah.
into the older guy after Matt Smith.
How many like do you think that is?
I stopped
How
right
many-
after Matt Smith.
I've only watched like two different people playing Doctor Who. But I feel like I hate when it shows end. So I'm like, I should probably get into Doctor Who. It never
Oh, you
ends.
don't have to worry about that show
Yeah,
ending.
it never ends. I
it's
should get
so-
into. That's why I was like, I should get into Doctor Who because I'm always disappointed when shows end. And
That's how British TV
Nah.
works. It either has one season or lasts forever.
Never.
seriously, dude, one of my favorite shows. Well, I guess it's 5. Misfits. Did you ever watch?
I did watch Misfits.
I didn't watch Misfits.
Watch
no.
it. I think it's on Hulu now. I think 4 or 5 seasons. Robert Sheehan from Umbrella Academy was on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've talked about it on the show. I love it that much, and I've rewatched it so many times. It's these like misfits, like British sort of people who have community service, and then they all get struck by lightning, and it's like a dark comedy. So
Yeah.
like they're solving fucking murders and shit, but they all have like fucked up powers, like stupid
Ooh.
ones.
It
And
is
like
very stupid
yeah, like
superpowers.
like
You like your
pretty
stupid
stupid.
superpower
I do.
shows.
One's
not my thing.
immortal, so they keep like killing him, and then he's like, I keep having fucking come back. Like there's all these, yeah. So yeah, it's a fun show. You should watch if you haven't, guys.
I
Hulu,
watched a lot of
Misfits.
Peep Show
Peep Show's good.
and a lot of In-Betweeners.
Sorry, I was doing In-Betweeners is
It's
so
great.
good. I just
It's so
rewatched
good.
the one with where Will like he smokes pot for the first time, or he eats a joint,
Yeah.
and he's like gets on stage. He's like, I have to call the ambulance. Somebody call an ambulance or my mum. I think I'm dying. I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm not doing this with my hands. I swear I'm dying. Anyway, sorry. Watch that show too. In between. It's
So
fucking
good.
hilarious.
I still yell bus wankers if I'm
Bus
drunk enough.
wankers.
Bus wankers. Oh, bunch of British kids. Yeah, I used to watch a lot of British shit because of.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but I like it. Oh, but so your podcast is Have You Seen It?
Have you seen?
The
yeah.
one we started
Have you
with was Amazeballs. We're still putting out episodes for that.
Okay.
And that's like TV talk, like TV anthologies.
That's kinda-
It's more short. We watch a couple of episodes that have something to do with each other and then talk
Okay.
about them.
Right.
Oh, sweet.
But then we got our friend Josh, and this is where we like found our footing, I think, is Have You Seen? And we talk about movies, but Josh has never seen a single movie. He's
Yeah.
our trump card.
The way
That's
the way
amazing.
I pitch it
Kinda like
is
that.
it's kind of like 3 levels. I have my bachelor's in film studies, so I literally studied film.
For real?
Watch
Oh,
movies
snap.
for college.
Yeah, watch movies
Yeah,
for
that's
college.
amazing.
I just watch movies
He's
for
just
fun,
a
ton of
huge
them.
film buff.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friend Josh literally had never seen Terminator until we showed it to
Oh,
him.
no.
Or
So that's the fun of the show.
like
is-
any
That's cool,
name any
okay.
movie. We're doing our
That's fun.
100th episode.
I don't think I could have a
100?
friend like that. That's never seen the Terminator, dude.
That's why they did the podcast. Like,
That's
we're
why we
only
did
can
the
watch movies if we start a podcast and we can make fun of it.
That's the
You'll
best
be our
part.
friend, but we're gonna make fucking fun
Yeah.
of you.
You guys are going on 100? They're on 100.
We're gonna have our
I
100th
suck. I haven't
episode
watched
here
any,
soon,
which I will watch.
and we're
It's a
gonna
big
do
one.
the Matrix.
How many
Because I love
episodes are you
movies.
doing?
I need to know that.
How many episodes a week are you doing?
One a week, but we've been doing it for
Yeah, that's
Years.
a long time.
That's
long
amazing.
time now.
BS show, we've been doing it for about a year and
Just-
8 months, and we're at 104. No, yeah,
we're not quite there. We're still in the 80s, like high 80s.
We might have a
right
bit
now.
takes
of a
for fucking
backlog.
ever. It's
Yeah.
like when you're at 80, you don't ever think you're gonna get to 100.
Yeah.
We're at like 89, I think, is the last episode we just released.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're
This month
gonna.
we've watched
And
some
that's the
scary
problem
movies
with
for it.
podcasts is a lot of people don't follow through with them.
Yeah.
They'll do like 10 episodes, and if it doesn't fucking catch fire, they just like dump it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
keep going.
to build
Yeah.
momentum.
You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
We
And
have.
that's when we started to see numbers. Is when we hit episode like 75. Or,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just be and I think also being consistent, like making sure you release it
Every
on the-
time with the
at the
yeah.
same. Not necessarily.
That's what we talked about when we
yeah.
started. Well, we were out for 2 weeks, but yeah.
It's
Like,
fine to
Wednesday,
take.
6 p.m.
It's fine to
Well,
take
no, we had a
breaks.
COVID scare.
We had a
so
COVID scare, and then I was in the hospital, and we didn't have any
Lock both
pre-recorded.
production, yeah.
But we had pre-recorded episodes, and then just air them at that same time on the day we
have-
usually do, so that still, you know.
We have a backlog.
We have a backlog
Yes, so
of
smart.
episodes too,
What's-
just in case we have to.
And that's
miss
the
an
thing about
episode.
movies is we may get into relevant topics, but the movies are timeless, so we can
Yes.
put them out kind of whenever we need to. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a bunch of
that.
Halloween episodes, so if Halloween's coming up,
Putting out a bunch of
Those.
scary episodes. Yeah.
Dude,
um,
I'm gonna end up binging this one. My friend Peyton
too.
Moore. You remember Peyton Moore? He was a comedian here. He's in Tucson now, and doing What's the Score with PJ Moore. It's film, but a lot of it is soundtrack.
Oh,
Basically, he talks
nice.
about the soundtrack, talks about directors, whatever, and about like the
Love it.
the experience of the cast and just. Very much. We did Wet Hot American Summer. I was on his first
Oh, yeah.
episode, but now he
sweet.
did like Diablo. He's been going through some. I think after Halloween he'll go back to like stoner movies, and then he'll have another category and kind of go through that. So I like his a lot. Now I'm like, there's another one I can watch, and I watch Doug Loves Movies all the time, or listen
yeah.
to that one so
Yeah.
much. Got my dad into that even because
We
my dad's
love-
kind of a cinephile in a way.
we love movie podcasts too. So we love We Hate Movies.
That's
Is
a
like
big
one
one
of
out
our
in New
big
York.
ones
It's
that
a
we
bunch of, it's
love.
4 stand-up comedians who talk about movies.
Taking notes. We Hate
And
Movies?
How Did This Get Made is like
An
Oh,
LA one.
an LA
yeah,
one
It's kind of
with,
an
like,
East and West one.
Paul Scheer and
Yes, I
Jason
know that one.
Mantzoukas.
Who does
the
the one-
Bechtel cast is a female perspective on movies. They ask they watch a movie and ask the question, are there one or more female or LGBTQIA characters in this that have a conversation, not about a man?
Oh,
And it's-
gotcha.
Once
a
you hear
Bechdel
that
test.
question, you watch movies in
That's
a new
so
way, and
interesting.
you're like, wow.
I even started. Listen to this podcast. Is Two Dykes, One Mic, and every episode they do talk about a movie or show they've been watching, and with a queer character, and then they talk about how they feel about how the character, and they're funny about it because they would be like, yeah, and then this sex scene, all of a sudden she had like 2 popsicles. Like, what are we gonna do with this? Like, do you want just like it's funny, and I listened to that one, but yeah, what was that? What you said about the female one?
The Bechtel cast.
Bechtel.
Yeah, and they're funny too. I think if you're gonna go leftist and get an audience, you got to be a little funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like as an example of Josh and our
Mainstream
podcast
audience. Yeah.
is
Oh.
with Have You Seen? We watched The Lost Boys.
Oh, I love that's one
So
of my
we start with an
favorite-
intro where
I
we
love
haven't
that movie.
described the movie. Sometimes he picks movies too that we haven't seen. That's
Yeah.
the criteria. We keep it balanced.
I
And
so Josh has seen movies then.
Yep, and well, it's gotten to
watch
the point,
movies for the podcast
Yeah.
the week before sometimes.
it's gotten to the point now where he's run out of movies, so he does have to actually start watching movies
Right.
outside to put on the list for us to watch.
But
And it
whoever
is-
hasn't
There's
seen the
nothing.
movie has to describe it based solely on the title, which gets pretty funny sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. What was something recently that somebody had to
One of my favorites is Double Indemnity. There's nothing to go on there.
Double
Yeah.
Indemnity.
I don't
Yeah.
That's even
remember-
hard to say.
How would
Yeah.
you describe that movie
Double
having
in-
never seen it or heard about it?
I don't even know what indemnity means. I don't think. Double that.
Double
Do you know what
indemnity.
indemnity means, Larry? What
You
would
can
your
look
guess
up
be?
the title, like the word, if you don't know what it means, but you can't look up the movie.
How do you spell indemnity? It'll take Larry 10 years to type a word out.
This was
no?
Justin's pick, by the way. This is one of his college boy
This
movies.
was one of my favorite
I mean-
movies.
It was one of your favorite movies?
Yeah, it's a classic noir film.
Oh, that kind of, okay.
You're giving stuff
Doesn't
away.
that mean like kind of indemnity? Doesn't that mean like not guilty or not
No, indemnity.
like not accused or something?
Yeah,
like
kind
that?
of
My
like that.
sister's watching
not
Geneva.
accused.
Give us the.
It's like the Tommy
So,
Lee Jones one.
I
Double
think it's
Jeopardy
more of
little
like a
bit.
play of like double accused,
Right.
like
Oh, I
like
found the
you
word.
can't like yeah that kind of thing.
Security or protection against a loss or other financial burden. Indemnity, right?
Yeah,
and
because
then there's
Insurance.
he's an
legal
insurance
liability.
broker.
Oh yeah, security against or exemption
Or not
from
a
legal
broker, but like
liability
a-
for one's actions. And then a sum of money paid as compensation. But yeah, it sounds like the second one. Yeah, you're not liable for your like actions. Double that, like 2 crimes committed and somebody gets off for 2 crimes.
Yeah,
Am I right?
it's Alfred Hitchcock, basically.
damn it.
Well,
Is
yeah,
it?
it's not Alfred Hitchcock.
But you would have to.
No, isn't it? It's just black and white.
It's not
Double
Alfred
Oh,
Hitchcock.
I wish it was Alfred Hitchcock because it was noir.
It's a Medea film.
yeah.
After Medea goes to jail.
Mhm. She got away with a crime.
She
Yes.
can't get charged for it
Has
twice,
to-
though, just
yeah.
like Ashley Judd.
Right.
Yeah, it gets another indemnity for a thing. Probably somebody broke into her house and she hit him with a frying pan and stabbed him with a spork. Oh, good. Would you like another beer, Austin?
I'm good, thank you.
But just like an example of what he, like, how unaware of pop culture stuff he
Yeah,
is.
the Lost Boys. Yeah.
We did Lost Boys. And for the first 30-ish?
Until it's revealed blatantly.
Until it's blatantly stated out loud that it was about vampires. He was convinced it was about aliens.
Because
Oh,
there's
that's
a lot of
funny.
cheap shots in it where it's like crane flyovers. They don't really give it away.
He thought it was about
Well,
incest.
vampires do fly.
We
Yeah,
don't give
they
him
do-
the
they do
poster,
fly.
so to be fair, it
That's-
went in
Oh, we
blind.
couldn't see the
He
poster?
went in completely
no
blind.
poster.
He'd never even seen a poster?
No.
A lot of the times he is aware of it through pop culture.
Sometimes.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I've never seen some movies, but
But
I
not
kinda
Lost
know.
Boys, that was a good one.
Yeah, he had no idea.
I like
And the
it.
less we know about it, in particular, whoever hasn't seen it, the better.
And
Next-
he's shown us. My favorite movie that he's shown us was that movie Uzumaki Spiral, or was it?
Oh, Uzumaki, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Uzumaki.
It's like a Japanese horror
manga
movie.
horror.
The Japanese are kings of the horror.
Ooh, they are.
It's a
We
live
steal
action
so much
about horror spirals.
redo.
Like anything spiral, if it gets into your brain, it'll kill you.
yeah. It's like a.
And so there's so many good practical effects. Like
It's
somebody
crazy.
gets
What?
stuck in a dryer and like spiraled up. Somebody gets stuck in a wheel well of a car and like spiraled up. It's like it's like a creep show episode. It's so good.
Oh my god, it's like Final Destination of Spirals with Creep Show.
Yep.
All right.
One of the
like it.
ongoing jokes in our podcast is how much I love the movie Halloween
Ugh.
and how much
We're
and
just
Josh
talking about Halloween.
him and Josh hate it. Like I showed it to him and Josh, and I was like,
warning you.
I was so excited to have Josh watch it, and he's just like, "This is so boring. I hated this
Ew.
movie."
Maybe if I would have seen it as younger, I think I was
The
like
first
18.
one is more of him just standing in
That's
front
what
of
I
it.
did.
Yeah, that's
is.
what
I was like,
Carla
it's like
said.
I'm gonna be here. Now I'm gonna hide behind this.
2 tries to redeem
Like, what the
it,
fuck?
but 3 is the pièce de résistance.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Season of the Witch.
Season of the Witch.
You get the 3 masks. It's Silver Shamrock, and it's like a Scottish cult. It's so good.
Oh.
Michael Myers isn't even in it.
Wait, oh, that's the one he wasn't. Doesn't he come back? Doesn't
Yeah.
He's back
Jamie Lee
in
Curtis
4.
get to kill him at
Because
some point?
at first they were like,
Spoiler
so
alert, I don't know.
Halloween.
You've all seen it.
Halloween 1 and 2 were like, okay, this is like 2 standalone
They
movies.
thought it was going to be an anthology
and then the next
series.
one would be like an anthology series, where it's just different Halloween scary stories. So the third one was about like these haunted masks that
Cool.
possessed children.
But people like Mike Myers so
Yeah,
much, and they're
that
like,
one
where's he
sounds kind
at?
of cool, actually.
It's good. Watch it.
So you like the whole series or just the first one? The whole series.
I like parts of them. Some of them are really good and
Sounds so
campy.
good.
No, I never claimed that the whole series is
Just the
good,
first
but I
one?
do love the first one.
They have their moments.
Do you have a favorite scary movie? Since we're talking
This
Halloween.
year, I'm going through all the Friday the 13th ones and getting kind of a new appreciation for them because they put them on like YouTube in 4K.
It's a good series,
and
too.
The problem
like
with
those
those, I
ones.
never watched them when I was a kid because you can't see shit in them on VHS. They're so dark.
Yeah.
So you try and watch them, and all you do is hear screams,
is
and
all
it's
night.
raining, and it's staticky. So they put like the
Well, you're watching them during the day.
Yeah, you need to be in
I
a
was
dark
scared.
room.
But now they put them up in 4K, so you can watch them and you can see what's going on.
I do like Friday the 13th.
Good soundtrack. Love Jason Takes Manhattan. That's number 6, I think. They get
I
up there.
Seen that one. Is it that many now?
Oh, Jason
Oh,
X.
yeah,
He goes to
dude.
space.
Oh, Jason. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was
Jason
thinking of
versus
Night.
Michael.
You were thinking of
Nightmare
Nightmare
on
on Elm Street. Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street's really
I
good
always
too.
get those two, and it's not that I get them confused. I know distinctly what they are.
Yeah.
But if we're in, but Nightmare on Elm Street, those are my favorite.
That's a fun one because
Just
it's
'cause I've had, like,
surreal. It
nightmares
gets
my
into
whole
the
life.
dreams.
Yeah.
There's
I
one
like
horror- If there's
Dreamscape.
one horror film, which one would you pick? One.
Oh, my favorite horror film? That's tough. It's... Ooh.
There's always one.
Yeah.
If there was one
Go for it.
horror movie that I would suggest that everybody needs to watch, I'm gonna go horror comedy. with the best one I've ever seen and say Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
It was pretty darn good. I'm gonna go horror, kind of comedy. John dies at the end. That's such a weird.
That's a fun one.
It's kind of horror. It's weird.
I'm gonna go
weird.
Alien. I love gothic horror,
Okay.
really slow building, and this is in space. And space gothic is like 2 of my check marks.
It was
so.
he literally had to drag me kicking and screaming to sit down
Alien.
and watch that movie.
That's so
I was like,
I liked it because
no.
there's a Vasquez character, Vasquez, whatever that one is called. There's somebody that works on Alien that has a character like with my last name, so that's why I liked it.
Oh,
and then I just
okay.
started watching all of them up until the Predator versus the Alien.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was kind of
Oh, I waited my whole life to see those because I was super into the comics when I was a kid, the Predator versus Aliens.
Oh yeah,
I was
And-
big into the indie comics and stuff.
those are ones you had to see in the dark too, kind of like especially the first one. It was so dark. I'm like, what head is this? Is it the Predator or the Alien? I have no idea.
You know, I tried to watch The Crow the other night, and that's one that's still
Because of the Alec Baldwin
really
thing.
dark.
Was that why you're watching it?
No,
Was
it
that
was
just because
it was
you're-
serendipitous.
Serendipitous.
Like, I
That's
watched
why
it the
we
night
were just talking
before.
about The Crow
Yeah.
the night before.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
psychic.
Yeah, but The Crow, how was that for you at this point in life?
It doesn't hold up in my opinion. No.
I haven't watched it forever. I was
The
kinda
editing
young.
is really apparent that it's kind of jumping all over
He
the
fucking
place.
died.
This is
I
the
know.
thing we got. So
I-
What do you
used
expect? They're trying to piece
Yeah.
together a movie.
Make it
They
into a
piece
short
together-
film and put it in
Like Dr.
Cons or
Parnassus.
something.
Dude, it was
Yeah.
awesome. What are you talking
Parnassus
about? I went to
movie
see that
where,
movie in the theater.
The
Yeah.
music was
Gotta
great.
be here.
I'll give it that. You got
Yeah,
The Cure.
yeah.
I
Yeah, some
haven't
really
watched it
old
in a
good
long
goth.
time,
A
so
lot of good goth.
Yeah, I
What
like
about
that.
Blade?
Oh, Blade's
great.
amazing.
Blade's
yeah.
a great movie.
Blade and Blade 2.
They're remaking that.
I was gonna
I
say,
heard.
yeah, the first two were good. I like vampire
But not an
movies.
R rating in it. The
No,
PG-13.
that sucks.
Yeah.
How are you going to make a vampire movie not R-rated?
And it's how weren't the Underworlds, even though I like them, weren't they PG-13? What was
think
I
that?
feel
so.
like those had to be R.
Right?
Yeah.
I kind of like those.
Those are,
but
yeah.
I don't know.
Those were always like
That
the
was the
darker
kind of
Resident
character I
Evil
wanted.
movies.
they did
I did
always
like
remind me
Resident.
of Resident
It's
Evil.
funny you bring this up. When we come back to characters,
they
those
have
are
the
like
same
the kind
actress?
of like acting I
No,
want to
shut
do. Those are the roles I want to play if I was an actress growing up because I did theater. I was like, I want to be like the Kate Beckinsale in this. I want to
Oh,
be
yeah.
like, oh my God, what's her name from Resident Evil? Or like
Mila
Trinity.
Djokovic, yeah.
Mila Djokovic. I want to be Trinity and like fucking Matrix and
Who just joined
like,
the Fast
throw
and
my
Furious
thing.
cast and she's playing a badass hacker?
Those
They're
are
always
still
playing some
going.
hacker.
No, but
What number?
it's one. She was also in Mad Max. She's also like one of these badass
Theron?
actors.
Charlize Theron?
Yeah,
Charlize Theron,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's in.
She's in the new Fast and the Furious.
She's been in
She's
three
like,
of them at this point.
she's like the big bad.
She's amazing. She can do no
Exactly.
wrong. She's played. I have surprised I haven't
She
pulled
played
this from
Monster.
that. She was on Arrested Development playing
Yup.
the mentally challenged person, mentally handicapped person, and they called her on there MFR, mentally. Wait. Oh, MRF, mentally retarded female. I'm saying because it's clinical. Don't cancel me. But yeah, she's a badass. Her in like Atomic Blonde, and then what was the other one that was like that movie?
She has so much range. She does like action hero. She did serial killer.
Yep,
Eileen
Monster.
Womack.
Yeah,
so
she's great.
good.
She's funny too. She did that young adult movie with Patton Oswalt. It was really weird.
You
They
know
get
who
a-
I
I love-
Go ahead.
They get a lot of crap, but I genuinely love the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah, we go to see them with our friend Josh every time they
That's
come
a
out in
funny get a
theaters.
friend thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fucking lead actor's a child molester.
What number are we on?
Oh no!
Did you hear about the Paul Walker apparently
Oh, he's
What?
a child molester,
Wow.
dude.
I did
had
not
some
know that.
what was
Yeah.
like dating an underage person.
He was
like
dating a girl that was
like
a
15
year older than his daughter at the time.
and they were like
And
teenagers.
living together.
To
Look
be
it up.
fair, he hasn't been in a few of them at this point.
He's dead, yeah.
Maybe
So what
that's
did you say
it.
your favorite horror movie was, Carl?
It depends what genre. Like I like demon
all
movies.
I know I said the Alien, but
If there was one horror
also
movie
The
you could
Shining.
have.
Like The Shining's fantastic.
I was gonna say like ones like The Shining or The Exorcist, but these are just classics. The one that scared me the most when I saw it for the first time, doesn't so much anymore, was The Ring. Actually, the American Ring.
It's good. It's really good.
And the Japanese one's messed up, and
Yeah.
like I like that one. Now I can watch it, it's fine. But the first time, that one had a really weird effect
it's
on me.
It's really well made and artsy. Like,
Yeah.
you get that big staircase going up. You see the ship run off, or the horse run off the ship.
It was
like
kind of like, and then the film at the end the actual film when they play it is kind of like, what's that genre? Like horror, art, horror. I don't know, art house, horror,
okay.
whatever it's called.
Sure.
Yeah.
Genre. I liked it. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have a favorite, Larry?
Yes, I do.
What is yours?
I have a group of favorites, but the top one would probably be the original Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
Below
That is a
that
good one.
would be The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
And then below that would probably be The Exorcist and The Exorcist 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Exorcist 3 just got added to Netflix in
Yeah.
high def, and it is
Okay.
fantastic.
Well, I'm going to have to
That's-
see
is
that
that
because
the-
I didn't know that was
Is
on
that the one where he's locked up, or is that the one
It's
in
the
the
asylum one.
The asylum ones.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, I have seen all three of them.
The actor in the end that plays the priest, he is a fucking amazing
Yeah.
actor, dude.
I have never cried during a
I can't
horror
remember
film
his
because
name.
of acting, and his acting moved me in that. I remember that specifically,
was-
having
I'm glad we're in a new
Moved.
art house
Yeah.
movement of horror. We got all these new ones like Hereditary, The Witch, Midsummer.
What did
How
you
did-
guys,
okay,
what
I
did you
haven't-
guys think of Squid Game?
I haven't watched it yet.
I
liked
didn't either.
Squid Game.
Did you like it? I do
liked
want to
it.
watch it.
I don't
It's on
care
my
I
about
list.
liked the
spoilers,
writing and the
but-
Yeah, I
premise.
don't either.
Some of the
Also,
acting
actually,
was a
spoilers
little-
help.
Well, it wasn't the acting. I think it's the translation.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Because if we
You
were
watch it with
Korean,
subtitles?
I did.
Well,
Yeah, I watched it with subtitles.
See, I would watch with subtitles,
Me too.
but then even dubbing is gonna fuck it up. Even when I watch things in Spanish and watch with English subtitles, I speak Spanish, but I know they're fucking up here and there.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's no direct, and that's what
we
sucks
watched
between
it
languages.
we watched it with voiceover of English,
Oh, okay.
and then but I was like, man, this acting is fucking terrible.
That's surprising because it's Netflix #1 gainer of all time now.
Well, I
It
think
was
it's in the
until
writing.
it was until the newest season of You came out.
And not only that,
that killed it?
Yeah.
Whoa. No way.
And not only that, there's probably 3 times as many Asians as there are Americans.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know?
In the world?
Yeah, so that has a lot to do with it. You know?
I mean, it was
'Cause it's
just a
there-
great
it's there.
show.
My sisters
know.
are both watching. Sorry. My niece Eva is apparently gonna be 4, 6, 7 for Halloween. Does that mean anything to you?
Yes.
To you
Yeah.
guys? Yeah. Is that good? Sorry.
Is it a
One of
squid?
the characters
A squid.
is
This is one of the
Yeah.
characters.
Okay.
I imagine
But
this is just
sorry,
a live
there was I
adaptation
got
of
excited.
Splatoon, the Nintendo game.
Whenever I first pulled it up, I thought it was a reality TV show
So
or
did I,
something.
It looks like one.
Yeah.
What was that
Like
show I used to
American
watch?
Ninja.
Is it kind of
What was that show I used to watch in high
too?
school with that
Gladiators?
Japanese? No,
How's
the
that feel?
Japanese one, and then people
Snowpiercer.
went through things and
But,
would hit them
yeah,
in the
it
face
is
like
dark.
these. So.
I don't remember the
Obstacle
name of it.
courses.
No cannibalism though.
Real cannibalism. I like cannibal stuff. Hereditary. Hereditary. I hate the ending. I will say that. I love
loved
Tony
it.
Collette.
I love the
love
ending.
Nate Wolf or whatever his
Yeah.
name is. The wolf kid in it. But
I get it.
oh,
But
the
I was like,
ending
oh, a
was
happy ending.
too much. It was like, no, the rest would have been nice if it was just creepy the whole time and just weird.
Whenever I was going to UNM studying film, I took an entire class. It was just horror film. It was horror film, the class. So we would go in, watch a film, talk about it, and then leave. And it was in the fall, and it was late at night, so I
Nice.
didn't get out till it was after dark, and I had to walk home. And most of the time I was fine, but there was one movie in particular that I remember walking home, I was freaked out after having watched the movie, and I would even have to rewatch it again to see if it actually held up as much as I think it did.
American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah, that was it. No, it was Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay.
I heard. Wait,
I rented
think
that
I've
when I
seen
was
that
going to
one.
college too.
I have
It's
not
a
watched that. What
it's
is
a
that
serial
about?
killer one,
I like
and it has that super orange blood from the 70s that you got back then.
It was very
But it's
hokey.
two dudes. It's super. I
need to
don't know
watch
if I can
this.
recommend it. It's gory as
It
fuck.
is very gory.
I like horror.
The thing
It's
is-
just two
even
dudes
the
that go
shocky
around
horror
like
movies
a
are
city and tear people apart.
That's the thing that I guess freaked me out about walking
It's
home
true
about it
crime.
was because it was like,
Oh.
he was just, he would park on the side of the road and wait for someone to come and help him and then kill the dude that helped him, or just decide to walk into that house and murder everybody in there.
It's dark.
it
yeah.
was
And
just
now that's, like,
very
everything on
sudden
TV.
and,
It's
and
the dude that's in all of James Gunn's movie. He was in Slither as Gary the sheriff. He was in the new Suicide Squad as the
Oh,
dude with
shit.
the super long
he has
white
the
hair.
whistly arrow in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah, the blue head guy with the mohawk.
What is his name? I see his face.
I'm so
Oh, no, I'm good.
bad
Sometimes
with
I'm
But
like,
he played Henry.
okay.
In Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Interesting. Okay, I wrote that down. I will say another movie that really freaked me out before we talk about a different character. That I won't want to get. I don't know if it's horror. Was Tusk? And I haven't
yeah.
seen it. I've not seen it a second time because
Will
it
Smith,
made me.
the Kevin Smith movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it made me feel
It's weird.
It
really,
is very
really
weird.
uncomfortable
dark.
and fucked up feeling.
I
Like a
will-
real something like wrong inside
I
feeling.
would argue the first half of that movie is legitimately a great horror film.
Right?
Yeah.
And
It
then it
gets
just kind
wild.
of gets
It
wild.
goes
gets
off the
wild.
rails.
Even the end gets so wild, but it's kind of so wild that it's creepy and ominous to me. Like it's like, oh, this is kind of silly at the very end, but then I'm like,
But-
why is this so creepy? So like it's very. I even got
It's
chills.
Gary
I have
Oldman,
chills on
right?
my legs.
I'm gonna have to watch it
I
because I've
think-
been wanting
no,
to watch
it's
it.
Who
it's
is-
so good. Justin Long plays like the
His daughter's in it too.
Yeah,
I
for
can't-
like a split second.
Because he was also in Jeepers Creepers when I was younger, and I saw that in theaters, and it was just, I used to think of the hollowed face out, but I love him. And then he was Tusk, and I couldn't watch anything with him for a while. I was like, fuck you, Justin Long, fucking with my nightmares. And that one I will say, Tusk, maybe not even my favorite, but the one that fucked me up the most.
That's
The
a
one that
weird
scared
Which is
one.
me
weird.
most, like the one I watched first alone as a kid, was at Horizon. I watched that alone and was like, holy shit,
Dad
this
had
is
me watch
scary.
that.
Mine
That's
was
a
The
weird
Exorcist, and my dad bought me the album.
Ooh.
What?
The album is done by a band called the Tubular Bells. If you ever get a chance to listen to it,
Bells.
it's fucking
Tubular
trippy,
Bells.
dude. I'd play that thing while I slept and have nightmares every fucking night, dude.
Why would you?
Whoa.
Larry was so punk rock. He listened to The Exorcist during sleep. I love it.
That's awesome.
Fuck yeah, metal.
My first memory of being introduced to horror films was my older cousin having me watch Child's Play.
That is the first scary movie. Yep, that's the first scary movie I watched while somebody was babysitting me.
And he did it specifically
Yep.
because he knew I had a My Buddy doll.
Oh, fuck.
That's amazing.
Oh, no. What
happened to
Wait,
you?
what happened? What happened to my buddy doll after this?
Oh, it didn't last very long.
Where did
Yeah.
accidentally trash?
Yeah.
Just kept showing back
We
up.
keep it in the haunted attic now, Justin.
I kept trying to get rid of it, but it kept coming
It's with
back.
the Annabelle doll. Larry's daughter is doing a class project paper
Yeah,
on
she's-
Annabelle.
She's got an
wow.
Annabelle doll. Yeah.
Like the doll, and then she has like
Wow.
a little.
She's
Yeah,
all
it's so
into that
funny.
scary shit.
That's awesome.
She's badass. She's very strong. Oh, it's funny. Oh, you guys are talking. Okay, jumping around. We have some minutes. I don't have to be. About 20, whatever. Some point I have a show out. Women Whiskey Wednesdays. I'm second to last on it. There's like 8 people before me. What was I gonna say? Oh, so Podcast Fest. So you guys have been podcasting for a minute. I wanted you guys to bring up Podcast Fest with Larry too. Like, did you ever hear? Did this exist? When did this?
What's
exist?
that?
The podcast festival.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2018. And
Yeah.
it
I've
happened
never heard
at
of
that lodge that's a club. Like,
It was like a
if you go
2-day
down
festival
Lead,
that
it's
they
on the
did,
hill.
and it was all a bunch of local podcasting people.
Were there a lot of
And
people?
They had an upstairs, a downstairs. They were rotating them all night long. Yeah.
It was basically like doing live performances of their podcast at this
Oh, interesting.
one venue, like cycling through each of it. It was interesting.
It was a one-time thing.
So no
Yeah.
mics. It wasn't being broadcast.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
It was being broadcast.
They were all
Podcast.
just doing it live in front of an audience,
Mm-hmm.
just moving through next one.
Yep.
So you had one producer, and then they just the people that were on the podcast. would
Each
come in?
podcast had their own producer.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
But
they-
was everybody using the same equipment, or were people?
They
putting
had
in
different stages.
upstairs and downstairs
they
had,
had-
different equipment
yeah.
that would just be for that room
Okay.
for the whole
Alright.
day.
Cameras or just audio?
Cameras too.
I wonder if
Cameras
they'll
too
do
for
it
some of
again.
them. Yeah, it was interesting for sure. That's whenever we met. Well, we got invited to that because we'd had Chris Burnett from 10 Drink Minimum on
Oh,
our
yeah, Chris is
podcast
awesome.
a couple times.
We need to have him on
and so
here.
he like gave them our name whenever they were looking for people to be on it.
And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"You want the last spot of the night?" And we were like, "Sure, why not?"
We did it.
And they were like, "Well, we're canceling the downstairs, which is where you were going to be, so you get to be on 10 Drink Minimum with us."
Yeah.
And we were like,
Oh,
"Oh,
cute.
score, okay."
So
Nice.
we just basically did a mashup of our show on their show.
That's cool.
And then we met a bunch of other people in the podcast. That's where we met Color Circuit, I think is what they were called,
Mm-hmm.
with Kendra.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Um,
Kendra.
Yeah, and
Graham.
her and I did a D&D show together once.
A live stream one a couple years ago.
3 years ago now. I was a character. I wasn't playing at the time. And this was whenever I first heard the term paid dungeon master, because the guy who was doing it for us lives in Australia, and he does it there, but he gets paid by the government to like go and do it for children at schools.
Nice.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's...
But...
I teach kids to dragon.
Yeah. But, you know...
You too can be a wizard.
he I guess he inspired me. But that was a lot of fun. And the only thing I've ever really done that I got fan art. There was like we didn't have a whole lot like of viewers, but there was one person who liked us enough to draw pictures of all of our characters, which was very
pretty cool.
That's badass. Like live drawing there, or like took a picture, took it home.
They just drew it. Like they listened to us describe our characters
Oh,
and watch us
really?
play, and then they drew what
Oh,
our
that's
characters
so
look like.
sweet.
Nobody's
That's
drawing
so
characters of the
cool.
BS show.
Yeah, and sending it into it. Yeah, it's. I think.
Draw who they think they are.
Nobody's inviting us anywhere to the BS show. Dude.
That's so
Fuck those racist bastards.
transphobic bitches.
Transphobic bastards.
Oh, dude, that's right. To get fan art of you. I want somebody draw me.
It wasn't of me. It was the character.
Yeah,
I was
but the
playing.
character.
But yeah,
And one of my
it
nieces
was an
draw me.
extension. It was an extension.
Yeah,
for
it's an
sure.
extension of something that your mind, like, and to see what somebody else took from your words and your imagination.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty cool. Oh, my
And
sister.
D&D is great for that kind of stuff. It helps you work through. It's a lot like therapy. I noticed doing it
Aw.
like as a professional.
That's what Rob calls it.
Yeah.
One of the guys on the BS show, that's what he calls it. He's all, this is like therapy.
It,
He's always-
Podcasting
Say
is,
you have
yeah.
confidence issues.
Last week was
Play a
felt real
barbarian.
therapeutic.
yeah, just you can be like
Interesting.
it helps you work out. You know, if you ever wanted to try an aspect of a personality,
Step
that's
outside the bounds
that's a
of
safe space
yourself,
to do it
yeah.
because you're putting on a mask,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, well, I'm gonna see how this feels, and then some people take that with them into you find things that you like to take into real life.
That makes sense. Yeah, a character that you played, you felt that feeling, and now you can, like, unscrew that in your own capsule to be like, now I can ignite this within myself. Like,
Sure.
I like that. Oh, we're talking about characters. I guess before we get to that, my sisters have a lot to say today. Hi, guys. Oh, yeah, we talked about Child's Play. We did get chased around Compton by a Chucky doll.
Whoa.
Chucky looking doll. Like the
whoa.
baby, like my buddy, like the ones that weren't quite him, but like the big ones, I think what you had probably. Because our cousins lived there and we went every summer. I think we'd just seen the movie from our babysitter. And then we went and, yeah, my cousin Alfredo, or it was Armando, I think, and Ceci. They chased us around town. It was good times. We hung out in Compton as kids. No biggie.
Nice.
What did Janine say? I saw part of The Shining at 5. It's my favorite now, but I messed up my relationship with showers for a while. Yeah.
Sure,
You guys gotta look.
sure.
Okay, so we're wrapping up, but we have to talk character a little bit.
Yeah, let's
What
do
do
it.
you want to play?
I'm still down to be rogue, like a rogue. Like
need a
I-
rogue.
What were you when you were playing with him for 6 hours?
A rogue.
A rogue, but she
So
was
we made a character, but you can always tweak it before
Yeah.
we get started on the real thing.
Yeah.
Magical rogue?
So,
And this is more of like a mechanic thing. We need to work on like your actual character story.
right, but there's some things that the rogue can do that I'm like, I want to switch the powers a little bit.
Right. So you don't want to be like a spellcaster rogue. Because
It's a thing.
I mean, I do, but I also want to be like agile and sneaky
you're right.
and like able to, you know,
I think
have perception about things.
I think a
and-
good one for you would be the mastermind.
Is that a kind of rogue?
Mm-hmm.
What's Mastermind do?
Dude, for some reason I remember D&D just having like elves
No, dude.
and
Oh, this is
wizards and that kind of shit. What are the fucking characters?
This
like, are
isn't
there
even-
new
yeah.
breeds
There's so
now?
many
Yeah.
books.
There's
This
so
is
many
my
books
class
now.
and
You
my
can be a
race.
cat person,
This is my-
two types of bird person.
They just
Oh my
released.
God.
They just released.
You have no idea. And you can be each thing within.
Hippo
and
person?
then-
Hippo
Oh, yeah.
people. Yeah.
Dude,
I wanted
remember
to
it
be a
was
hippo person, but then I think it's not on the thing we're playing.
It could be.
Could be a rogue
person.
hippo.
Sure.
Wait, really?
Wouldn't turn it down. Nope.
Sorry. I didn't mean to fiddle. Okay, that's so funny. There's so many different, and then with under that you have other things you have to choose from.
Right, like it used to be that you would choose like an elf or a goblin or a hobbit
Mm-hmm.
or that kind of shit. Now it's fucking bird people.
Yep.
Yep.
And, but you could always choose like a secondary thing, like a thief
Yeah.
or
Right. There's a race and a
like a
class.
fucking
Yes.
blacksmith,
Race
all
and-
kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a racing class, and then I was some sort of something that was like, was almost nuclear. Like I would emit light.
Oh yeah, you were like an angel person.
Right,
Like
but
a
my-
half angel.
That's an Almaseer.
My problem, yes,
Dude, this is like
amnesia. I could not think of the
This is like
word.
the series True Blood.
I knew
where
there was
at
A's
first
and
they were
M's.
fucking vampires.
Yeah.
Now it's gone into fucking fairies.
I was
and
an
shit.
Amnesia
Oh, watch
something.
Hemlock Grove. Really good first season. Third season, there's aliens? You're
Yeah.
like, where am I going?
Yeah.
So when I came into at least the first one, I realized, and maybe because we were in like an enclosed alley and enclosed inside somewhere, I wanted to really use my like radiation powers to hurt someone, but I couldn't because everybody that I was like with on the
Was right
campaign
next to you.
was so close to me
Yeah.
that I couldn't back up far enough to use certain ones.
That just
So
means
should I just keep these
you
things?
just
that
need
I
to have better
have?
teamwork with your other
So
players.
Talk it out.
Be
I'm
like-
laughing, but this
be
is
like-
like so great. I'm like really into this.
Need to
I'm
work
really
on
nerding
you
out.
just,
communication.
Sorry.
you just gotta be like, hey, I'm gonna do like a nuclear blast. Don't be within 5 feet of me.
All right. Or I'd be like, I'm gonna go forward and like
Yeah.
do this first to clear out a room.
Right.
Or
And
come up with a
then you guys
catchphrase
come-
that they
Yeah.
recognize, like,
A code word
I'm
that
going
means
bonkers
Yeah.
or something and run down the alley.
I like it. Because I can do that. I can do other things. Like I think I can put other creatures and things to sleep for a minute sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I have the mage hand. I did get to use that. That was fun. I got to lift something up with my like invisible hand.
right.
But the character itself, because I don't know. I don't know what I need to be as my
Just
like
think
my
of-
real time, like, because we're making it Neo.
Yeah, just think of like what you think. So the setting
Yes.
is modern day Albuquerque,
Okay.
the land of enchantment. Magic is real in New Mexico. So
Magic
that's
is
why
real.
all this crazy stuff is happening here. So,
But
just try to think
everybody
about
has
like
these powers, or just us
everybody.
Okay, so just like in D&D,
Not everybody, but-
90% of the people
have
are just people. They're farmers. They're
Okay.
tenders to like fields and shit.
They still have
They got goats.
they have like
Yeah, but,
minor
like,
magical powers,
100,
but not anything.
one in
like,
100 people out of the village will be like, oh, I can play the lute magically. I'm gonna go to the Bard's College or
Yeah.
something. So everybody's got like a bit of magic. Yeah, it's a modern day magic. So everybody's gonna have cantrips. They've gone to school, so everybody knows how to make a light. Everybody knows like simple
Right.
wizard spells.
So yeah, so I'm wondering within this, because in my character, what I was building so far was gonna be like I live downtown, which I do, but like I'm an aspiring photographer,
Right.
kind of thing,
Love that.
and which I like as a rogue but as a rogue, being an aspiring photographer, could I bring into the game, or would that having, how to explain this? Could I be like, hey, I snapped this photo of whatever, and I also saw this. That's not something I'm able to do, right?
Sure, you can say
Does that make
like
sense?
you
Oh yeah, I know. I took a photo earlier of this guy, and I still have the memory of, he was wearing this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so much trying to roll
You can
forward,
have a
but
camera,
more
yeah.
for sure.
like there was this book, Candace Camera, growing up, where this chick just took pictures of everything, and people were like, oh, somebody stole, and they're like, who was it? And somebody was like blaming someone. She's like, actually, I took these pictures, and I think it was this little kid who accidentally stole this sweater. And like,
Right.
anyways, so I want to be like.
So in
more
that
like
case,
that.
it would just be like, it would depend on what you want to do. Basically, you're asking how you can flavor it, and you can do it
Yeah.
however you want.
Okay.
So, like, if you're looking to figure out who stole something,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh, I want to see if I took a picture of them, me and him would decide what
What kind of
skill
check that is.
you
Is
want to
it-
roll.
Maybe an
We'd make you roll we'd make you roll the d20, take
Gotcha.
your investigation check, and then decide if that was based on how hard we want it to be. If you, you rolled a 20. Yeah, there's a picture of that guy
He's wearing a gray
That's
hat.
right.
wearing a
black
gray
pants,
hat, and
a
you
blue
can
long coat
clearly
or
see
something.
him
Yeah.
reaching into that person's
Because
pocket.
you guys are like the judges who can like, they'd be what's in court like withholding.
That's why we have the DM
Yeah,
screen.
we can. Okay. This is making me feel a little more whatever. Because I like that, and I liked in my
You play
head.
the character. The
In my
rules
head,
are,
I'm
we're
kind
gonna
of
deal
one
with
of
the
these
rules.
kids who is like almost like your daughter or my friend Jared Ostrom. Jared, his like fiance to be, his wife to be, Anastasia, is like one of these really rad, cool, almost cosplaying, but like does cool makeup. Might look like they would be at an EDM, but festival, but also they like hang out at the house. But they dress different almost every day based on how they're feeling. And as a rogue, I think that's interesting because then people might not recognize me all the time.
A bit of a chameleon.
Yeah, there might be one standing factor that I have, like a certain piece of jewelry or a certain piece of wardrobe or something.
Yeah.
But other things might change.
So there's a type of rogue. Describing this, I think you should definitely play this type of rogue. It's Inquisitor rogue.
Inquisitor, what's that?
It's basically like
A private eye.
A private eye. They specialize in investigating. You don't have to play it as a private eye though. You can play it as like I leap from building to building.
Excited.
I leap from like building to building to find the best shot that I can or whatever.
That part.
I need pictures of Parker.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, right? You're doing whatever you need to get the pictures that you need.
So mastermind. So would the mastermind be able? Is
That's
that
a different one.
So Inquisitor or mastermind? What do you think would be like the better?
Based on what you
fit?
just described, I would say Inquisitor.
Okay, cool. Because that's what I want to do. You know, if the other ones, especially if they have a lot of like magical powers, the people I'm playing with,
A lot of them.
then
so
there's
far.
not so much that I need to contribute to that. Because at least one or two can roll on that.
One of the things you could do as like an Inquisitor rogue, mechanically, is you can like study the enemies that you're looking at and figure out their weak points.
Okay.
So we could role play it that you're like, oh, I'm going to snap a picture, and then I can use, like, you have like an app or something that shows you.
Like, have you ever played Fallout? Any of those games?
No, but I've seen people play.
Okay, yeah, when they go into the
Play, I
mode where
watch.
you can look at all the different
Yes, okay.
arms, chest, head, and be
Okay.
like, oh, I should hit them there. It's their weak point.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yes,
We could
I'm
easily
liking
role
this.
play something like that.
Can we do that?
Oh, yeah.
I was taking notes so that I remember next time we play. When are we playing next? Do we know?
We don't have a schedule
We don't
yet.
have it. We're going to. I'm hoping the first week in November we'll finish that practice game we were doing.
Okay. I'll be out of town in November, but at the end. Well, I leave the 13th. So
Okay.
if it's before the
Yeah,
13th.
we're looking for
okay.
the first week
Cool.
probably. But actually filming the show, we're still getting like art and stuff made.
Okay, cool.
Once we have all that produced, then we're gonna hit the ground running.
Exciting.
That's another thing we're gonna have to talk to you about is what your character looks like.
Yeah. So we
That's
can get a
something we
character
can
made.
do,
That's
and then
like-
we'll have
I
someone
have
draw
my head.
a
I'm like,
rad
it's gonna look
picture
like
of it.
Anastasia. I'll just show a picture of my friend's like fiance and be like, this kind of.
That's perfectly fine. Well, my roommate who's playing Roswell, an alien from Roswell, his
Roswell,
character
yeah, that's
is
right.
he wants it to look like Stephen Merchant,
That's right.
just really tall and
Very-
gangly.
Yep.
Kind of a gray alien mixed with Stephen Merchant.
I love it. Nick Starr is a part of this. We have Lauren Poole,
Yeah.
Prison Bitch, the band, local band, one of the members of that. Royal's on it. Aziz is on it. Your
Liz
roommate.
McKenzie.
I have not met Liz
Are you
McKenzie.
guys doing this all together in one room, or is it
Yeah.
okay, cool?
Well, that's the plan.
Two of them weren't there this last
the,
time, right?
the plan right now is doing it like filming on location in a room.
It'll be 6 of us or 7
Six
Like-
players.
players. 2 of you guys. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So it'll be 8 people total.
I take this.
We're working on making maps right now. We got a online app where we can kind of share it back and forth and like add
Yeah.
to it all the time.
Dude, this is awesome.
So the very first
Love it.
the very first
Oh,
actual
spoilers.
the very first actual game setting is going to be you guys are all going downtown for like a street festival where they celebrate magic.
Oh.
And
So
there's
there's a
going to
bunch of
be
little,
there's going to be a commotion
tables
that
set up
brings
with
you all together
potions
and
and,
calls to
like-
action.
So basically, Art Fest.
Yep.
Or Art Walk. Art Walk. It's like Art Walk.
We're theming it to the town.
love
It's
it.
going to be art
Because
walk
there's so many people at Art Walk with so many potion-y, sort of witchery things.
for sure.
Like, oh, snap.
And that's one thing
I
we
went with
want
Jess
from our
Wood.
players
We're both
is
a little bit
any
witchy
sort
with
of
that.
suggestion on anything you have Albuquerque that feels
Mm-hmm.
Albuquerque to you or New Mexico in general, give it to us and
Yeah.
we'll try and incorporate it into the game.
We're gonna do
That's
the
it.
balloon fiesta, but instead of it being the balloon fiesta, it's like an aerial combat battle
was gonna say,
where it's like
aerial-
airships and dragons and stuff like that
So
fighting
let me
each other.
ask you a
So
question.
excited.
Are you able to sell these campaigns to other dungeon masters?
Yeah, you can. I haven't done that yet.
I wonder
But-
if there's any market for that, like, because I'm sure a lot of people are like, I'm out of fucking stories, man. Like,
Yeah, no, there is.
Oh, yeah.
There is
you know?
definitely people
Like,
who.
you can only come out, you can only be, it's just like writer's block. Like, somebody needs some kind of fucking, like, start.
And that's what we
And
do
where you
sometimes
guys could
when
sell
we're
the
pressed
maps
for time
and-
if we're doing a one
and
shot.
the whole campaign, the maps, the fucking, all that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
no, they actually have like
Modules,
the people
right?
who do Dungeons and Dragons
Like
and
the
make the game.
modules?
They make modules that are like that,
Nice.
and that's one of the ones that I've run. It definitely makes it a little bit easier, kind of.
You still gotta make it your own.
You still got to make it your own for sure.
Yeah, but I mean a premise with
Yeah,
the
oh, yeah.
maps and that kind of shit. And then they can come up with the story.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
that kind of deal.
There's definitely a huge market for that.
Good community.
A huge market for that.
Love it. Very grateful to be back.
Yeah.
Playing.
It's fun.
It is fun. I'm very honored to be a part of this. I told even Larry, I was like, somebody hit me up about Dungeons and Dragons, and he's like, really? I think you're like
Yeah.
doing it. I was like, if anything, it would just be great stories and whatever. I was like, but I used to like playing D&D back in the day, so it'll be just like
That's
a
what I told her
good.
about Star Frontiers and shit.
Yeah, he was talking about Star Trek. I was like, yeah.
And we're trying to get new people too. Like Lauren has never played before.
Yeah.
Liz had never played before.
Royal had never played.
Royal, I guess he'd played a little bit before,
yeah.
but not very much.
Nick, his only
Nick-
game is our other game we run.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Nick
No,
was
he
someone-
seemed like he's.
Yeah.
He's into
he
it,
knows
yeah.
what's going on.
We kind of
too.
got Nick and Assis to like help
Yeah.
us help you guys
Yeah,
because they
both
know what
of
they're
them
doing.
really were helpful in being in the moment and in character with me, and Lauren was too. But like with it just made it really cohesive and everybody kind of being in that world together.
Oh yeah, I was super excited with how well everybody gelled when we played.
So much fun. We'll be doing it soon. Oh, I'll be gone the 7th and 8th too. We're back the 8th. I'm going to Tucson for Day of the Dead.
We're not gonna be filming.
But yeah, let me know. We're gonna
For a
talk. So we're
while.
wrapping this up. I guess I have a show. We didn't even get to the Kung Fu talks. They're both Kung
Oh,
Fu
yeah.
martial artists. We have so many more things.
We're gonna keep that secret
Where
anyway.
where can people find you? We'll also add things down here, but where can people find you and where can they find the podcast?
It's
And
on
when?
the iTunes podcast app.
Okay.
Under Fap Check is our like producer title. Have you seen with a question mark and amazeballs.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on podcasts.com. That's plural. And just search Fap Check. FAP. then check.
The channel that we're doing for our D&D stuff just launched. We're getting the artwork and everything set up, and we're gonna start producing more content besides just playing games. It's called the Pit Friends.
Pit Friends. All right.
Um,
Cool. I like that.
And yeah, you can find that stuff on YouTube and
Awesome.
And
Facebook.
Facebook. Yep.
Do you have
and
any
Instagram.
social medias you want to pitch out there?
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram at Awkward Stoner.
Are you on the Instagrams? You don't have to pitch anything. You can be like, I want to be silent and private forever.
No, I'm an artist. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah.
SIRIANDIL. Siriandil.
Siriandil. Okay, cool. We'll put it beneath the links for you guys. Oh man, and hopefully soon. You guys had said before, maybe I'll be on your podcast.
That'd be awesome. Bring
Figure
us a
this
movie.
out.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else coming up? Any? You want to pitch or anything? Life.
No, just our podcast. If you want to give that a listen, and
Yeah.
then whenever we launch this,
Oh, it'll be today. We're live.
We're live right
no,
now.
I mean yeah.
Oh, the launch.
the
the D&D.
stuff.
Yeah.
I had a brain fart. For
Yeah,
a
I'll let
second.
you know. And we'll talk about it in here too when it's coming up and things, and I'll let people know how my character is going because
Yeah,
I'm
we
kind
gotta
of
know about how the
excited.
character's going.
I'm so far
She gets
rogue.
it
I'm gonna
out.
be an inquisitor
She
rogue.
gets to COVID. And fuck-
We got past that. But yeah, so carlavasquezcomedy.com. I don't have too many dates coming up because I'm going to Tucson and then Portland. But yes, again, tonight, if you're watching this live, Women and Whiskey Wednesday is happening at Hollow Spirits. I'm about to head there now. It starts in 20 minutes.
Nice.
Anyway, and then this weekend I have the Medicated Dinner. That's also on the thing. Look, carlavasquezcomedy.com. For everything, carlavthinksoutloud.com as well. Follow
And
us,
you have the
like,
Wicked
subscribe.
and- what is
Oh
it?
yeah, the Witches and Bitches tomorrow in Santa Fe.
Ooh, that sounds fun. What's that?
Witches and Bitches, and we can dress up. I'm gonna do Day of the Dead stuff, and they want me as a comedian, but they're giving me 10 minutes. So they're doing open mic first for anybody, and then at 8 it starts like the actual like book people. So I'll be that and doing a 5-minute comedy set, and then I'm gonna relate that with a song I'm gonna play in Spanish. La Llorona. I'm going to talk about La Llorona and then play La Llorona. This is like old
Nice.
Mexican like folk song because I play
Nice.
guitar. So I get to do
cool.
both tomorrow, which will be very fun. So if you can make it in Santa Fe, that would be awesome. At the something, look at carlavasquezcomedy.com. We have all the info there. I don't remember. Something cidery. All right, guys. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think we're, every Wednesday live, 6 p.m. We be here.
Woo!
Woo!
Love you, Larry. Love you, Patty. Thank
you so much for
Austin.
having
Thank
us.
you, Justin.
Thank you. It was a lot of
Appreciate
fun.
both of you. And good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bid you farewell.